I think he deserves it. It sounds like good bets to me.
Do what?
Sounds like good bets.
Yeah.
It could have been worse. Yeah, it could have been worse.
Sometimes I look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Hey, brother.
Did Shelby go? I don't know. She's supposed to be my ride or die today. How are you doing?
What is he getting on that? Yeah.
All right, I have started that so that
Okay, so
people can get on. Before it
is the
starts.
audio like live?
Yeah.
Let's let my mom get out of the bathroom. I've got one, brother. Yeah. There's water. Water's in that bar area, I think.
I'm good, thank you.
Working. I have seen you doing it, just trying to stay busy.
Well, she's in the back. She'll come out. She'll come talk to the class. She didn't come out.
Clicking like I used to.
Understandable. I'll see you after. Why don't you sit here?
I don't know if I'm gonna do this or not.
Hey, bud.
What?
Microphone.
Can you hear me? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Benvenuti. My name is Danny, for those of you I haven't met. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. On behalf of the family, I want to thank you all for being here today. Your presence means more than words can express, and it's a true reflection of how much Maurizia was loved. Today isn't just about saying goodbye. It's about celebrating a life that touched so many people in meaningful ways. Maurizia was a mother, a daughter, a sister, a cousin. She was a friend, a source of strength and kindness to everyone who knew her. She had a way of making people feel welcome, valued, and cared for. While we feel the loss deeply, we're also grateful for the memories, the lessons, and the love she gave us so freely. Those things don't leave us. They stay in the stories we share, the laughter we remember, and the way we carry her spirit forward in our own lives. This part's tough. Before she passed, I had a quiet moment with her. I told her not to worry, that I would take care of Francesca and Carter. I asked her if she could to let my daughter know how much she's missed and how much those Sunday brunches meant to me. I would also like to take a moment to thank Elizabeth Booth and Danielle for traveling to Texas to support Francesca in those critical last moments and days. Your presence and friendship and the love you've shown mean more than you know. You're truly like family and has brought comfort to us all. We invite you today to remember her, to share stories, to celebrate a beautiful life she lived. Thank you all for being here.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me now? Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Christina Tremaglio. You know me probably as a friend's easy. Today we are here to celebrate Maurizia and honor the life that she lived so fully, so beautifully, and so unmistakably her. So let me tell you one thing. And if you knew Maurizia, that's how she'd start. Yeah. But it was never one thing. It was a lot. And it's not going to be one thing for me today either. I knew Maurizia my entire life. I chose Maurizia to be my confirmation sponsor. I called her my godmother. But that title barely scratches the surface. She was like an aunt to me. She was a constant, a presence so steady in my childhood that it's impossible to separate my memories of home from my memories of her. She wasn't just part of my life, she was part of my everyday life for a really long time. One of the clearest memories and pictures that I have in my mind is Maurizia and my mom together. They were best friends, great friends for a really long time. And I grew up watching the two of them sit at my kitchen table. Lots of coffee, lots of laughing, sometimes crying. Cards came later, more coffee. I would sit there with them. It was one of my favorite things to do. They would speak half in English, half in Italian, back and forth. I never knew what there was going on. They weren't the text before you go kind of friends. There weren't texts back then. They weren't the ring the doorbell kind of friends either. They were the expected, unexpected kind of friends that would just drop in. Maurizia had two dogs that I remember, David and Goliath, little miniature Italian greyhounds. They'd come in my house and tap, tap, tap. She'd come over almost every night for a walk after she left Reed's. She'd tell us stories about how she saved some Marine all this money because he was about to buy his girlfriend something real expensive. And she convinced him not to do it because what's right is right. She was with us and our family and our house for everything. Holidays, birthdays, graduations, proms. I saw your prom picture and I remember coming to your house for prom with all you beautiful girls. I looked up to you. I think I was in like 5th grade. Weddings, baby showers. She was even at my house the first time I brought JT, my husband, home. And she nodded with her approval, which meant a lot because she would have told me otherwise. She even helped me pick out my wedding bands. Maurizia was exquisite. That's the word that will always come to my mind. I will forever remember the glow of her skin, still in this picture, the red of her hair, not in this picture, her pristine Italian accent, northern, I should say, it was a northern Italian accent, beautiful. And I can still picture her so clearly wearing either khakis or linen pants with her crisp white button down and a scarf effortlessly tied just so around her neck. She had style that didn't demand attention, it earned it. She tried to teach me Italian, like I went to her house for lessons. Didn't really work out too well, but when I'd go over there, she'd treat me to a can of Fresca served in a confetti-covered cup, as if even the smallest moments were deserved to feel special. And while dinner was mostly at the Franzese home, she'd treat us to the best tiramisu, her white lasagna. She'd bring a fresh deviled eggs over for Thanksgiving. She never made that bolognese for us, so I'm a little mad about that. And then, of course, her bellinis as I got older with fresh peach puree that she'd go to the commissary for me to get fresh puree. And we definitely bonded over Prosecco. Maurizia was also fierce. We all know she told it like it was. She didn't soften the truth. She wrapped it in honesty and humor. And you always knew where you stood with her. And for me, her and I had a special bond. I was talking to my brothers and we were remembering things, and even Anthony said that we all loved her voice and it was positive even when she said the F word. What I will always remember her for are not just the big moments that she showed up for, but the quiet ones, the routine visits, the casual conversations, and the bond that we had for so long. What mattered to Maurizia most, though, what truly defined her, was the love that she had for French and for Carter. And I was able to witness my most memorable memory of Maurizia was her becoming a proud and loving nonna. For years, she'd come down to Emerald Isle to the beach and visit us for the July cookouts. She'd come to the beach for like maybe 5 minutes. And then she'd say, "Bro, prendiamo caffè. Let's go." And she'd leave. She didn't want to get the sun. But when Carter and Francesca were down visiting one summer, they were on the beach. I think the picture's here, taking professional photos. I was actually up on the balcony of our condo watching them take these beautiful photos. And all of a sudden, Maurizia goes knee deep. "Just for you, Carter." May splashing around. You were just giggling so on how silly your nonna was, because she would do anything for you. You guys are her pride and joy, her purpose, her everything, her every ounce of strength, her fierceness, and her tenderness were wrapped up in you two. Thank you, Maurizia, for your love, your honesty, your elegance, your fire, and your presence in my life. Thank you for being my godmother. You'll always be with me in the laughter, in the Prosecco, in the scarves, and in the strength to speak the truth, and in every moment that calls for a little bit of fabulous. As it says in Scripture, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." And that was Maurizia. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Christina. That was so beautiful. I want to make mention that today we have family members and friends in Italy who are with us via live stream. We also have friends that are out of state or unable to be here due to medical circumstances. Thank you all for joining us remotely. My mother has a first cousin in Italy that was like a sister to her. They were born 10 days apart, and they were inseparable, not only throughout their childhood, but for all the 74 years of my mom's life. They spoke on the phone each day, even just for a few minutes to check in. Since they were little girls, Daniela affectionately called my mom Micia. Micia means female cat in Italian. She called her that because of mom's beautiful light green eyes and her incredibly soft skin. Daniela was unable to be here today due to medical reasons. However, I will read to you what she wrote about my mother, first in their native Italian language and then in English. So please bear with me. Con il cuore colmo di dolore e gratitudine, voglio ricordare la mia amata cugina Maurizia. Per me non è mai stata sola una cugina, ma una sorella, una compagna di vita, una presenza costante fatta di affetto sincero, risate incontenibili e complicità profonda. Anche se la distanza ci separava, il legame che ci univa non ha mai conosciuto confini. Maurizia era luce pura, aveva un'energia travolgente, una forza incredibile e una capacità unica di far sentire chiunque speciale e accolto. Ogni volta che ci ritrovavamo, era come se il tempo non fosse mai passato. Bastava uno sguardo per capricci, una risata per tornare bambine. Porterò sempre con me i ricordi dei nostri momenti insieme, delle chiacchierate infinite e del suo modo inconfondibile di affrontare la vita con coraggio e passione. Era orgogliosa delle sue radici, della sua famiglia e soprattutto della sua Francesca e del suo adorato Carter, di cui parlava con gli occhi pieni di amore. La sua assenza lascia un vuoto immenso, ma anche un'eredità di affetto, forza e gioia, che continuerà a vivere in tutti noi. Ciao Maurizia, anima bella, continuerai a vivere nei nostri cuori, nei nostri ricordi e in ogni sorriso che sapremo ancora condividere pensando a te. Sempre con noi, Daniela. So I'll translate that for you in English. With a heart full of sorrow and gratitude, I want to remember my beloved cousin, Maurizia. For me, she was never just a cousin, but a sister, a companion in life, a constant presence of sincere affection, uncontrollable laughter, and deep understanding. Even though distance separated us, the bond that united us knew no boundaries. Maurizia was pure light. She had an overwhelming energy, incredible strength, and a unique ability to make everyone feel special and welcomed. Every time we were together, it felt as if no time had passed. One look was enough for us to understand each other, and one laugh, and we were little girls again. I will always carry with me the memories of our moments together, our endless conversations, her unmistakable way of facing life with courage and passion. She was proud of her roots, of her family, and especially of her Francesca and her beloved Carter, whom she spoke about with eyes full of love. Her absence leaves an immense emptiness, but also a legacy of affection, strength, and joy that will continue to live in all of us. Goodbye, Maurizia, beautiful soul. You will continue to live in our hearts, in our memories, and in every smile we will still share when we think of you. Always with us, Daniela.
Ooh, that's a tough act to follow. Yours too, Christina. I'm Elizabeth Raymond Beecham, affectionately called Lise by Maurizia. I first met Fran in the 9th grade, and our friendship and connection was immediate. I thought she was the most beautiful, charismatic, and adventurous person I'd ever known. A girl whose light truly filled every room. And all of those qualities made sense the moment I was introduced to her mother. Maurizia and Fran were a legendary duo, sharing a bond that was like no other. It wasn't long before I had happily implanted myself into their party of two, specifically at the breakfast table on Northwoods Drive. After I turned 16, I began picking Fran up for school. I'd pull my white Mustang into their driveway, and Maurizia would have a hot breakfast waiting on me. Whether it was pancakes or eggs and bacon, she became a second mother to me during those early morning chats, sitting around the kitchen table, overlooking the boulevard, as it would come to be known. Breakfast turned into dinners. Maurizia would prepare the most delicious dishes and loved to share her culinary creations with her friends. I discovered her pasta with white sauce. It had a different name, but that's what I called it. And it became my favorite. She would make it especially for me and continued to do so long after we outgrew those high school meals. Throughout college and beyond, we'd gather at Deep Bay, and she'd show up with her car loaded with food and treats and everything needed to make my favorite dish. While Maurizia was the epitome of thoughtfulness and generosity, she wasn't one for saccharine labels. If you ever made the mistake of calling her sweet, she'd likely argue with you on the spot. She had a distinct fire about her, and it was most present when it came to Fran. Francesca was her entire world. Their lives were woven together in a way that was beautiful to witness, and that fierce, protective spirit only multiplied when her grandson Carter was born. He was her baby and the light of her life. She adored him, as she did Fran, but her love didn't stop there. She extended that same loyalty to all of us, her friends that she chose as her family. I know we will all see reminders of Maurizia everywhere because of the effervescent person that she was. This past Easter at Deep Bay, there were many. A bottle of fancy olive oil, a jar of pink salt with her handwriting on the label, a gift she had brought to my mom, and her favorite, a jar of Italian cherries, another word I can't pronounce. I can picture her now in her uniform of khaki pants with a crisp white button down, the smell of Ralph Lauren Safari lingering in the air, a pop of color on her lips, and maybe even a pair of leopard print shoes. She was chic before I even knew what the word meant. However, there was one uncharacteristic moment of a fashion faux pas: glamour shots. Fran and Maurizia went to the Jacksonville Mall and got their pictures taken. Big hair, she was blonde at the time, bejeweled jean jackets, feather boas. I remember being slightly jealous over how fabulous they looked, like supermodel fabulous. But today, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the fact she always said yes. I'm grateful for knowing that she was always there for me, truly making me feel like a second daughter. I'm thankful that she gave me one of my very best friends who will live on in her honor. Maurizia was radiant inside and out. She fed us, loved us, showed us what it means to live a beautiful and flavorful life. We miss you dearly. Ciao, Maurizia.
I'm back. I can't wait to tell you about the strong woman who raised me and whose spirit can be felt so strongly in this room today. But first, I'd like to offer some detail and education on Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. I remember seeing this flag on Mom's first MRI, and I had to Google it. I want to take a few minutes to explain this disease since it's such a chameleon in the world of medicine. CJD is a prion disease. It causes prions to misfold and attack the brain, causing rapid neurodegeneration and severe disruption of neural networks. In recent weeks, I've become friends with another woman in Onslow County who lost her mother to this wicked disease just this past December. This disease is real, and my mom is not patient zero. Diagnosed cases are on the rise, and there isn't enough medical research being performed to educate for early detection. Treatment is not available, nor would it make a difference. This silent killer takes up residence in the brain, and patients die within weeks of symptom onset. What we need is a vaccine. Mom's first symptoms included insomnia and blurred vision, and 7 weeks later, I held her in my arms as she took her last. The greatest gift you can give me when you leave here today is to tell my mom's story. Help me spread awareness. Over the last 2 weeks, God has been putting people in my path that have loved ones with CJD. While membership to this club is nothing I ever envisioned, I'm now in a position to help others navigate this complex diagnosis while also demanding answers. Around the tables in the back, you will see signs with QR codes. This links to a fundraising page for the CJD Foundation. Funds raised will go directly to the 501(c) organization. Without funding, there is no research. Without research, CJD will continue to ravage the bodies of our loved ones. For those of you that have contributed already, thank you. You have no idea what that means to me. For those of you that have not, please consider a donation in any amount. You can even make it anonymous. Help me make a difference. Be the change so that one day we can celebrate an end to CJD. Everyone in this room loved my mother dearly, and we can all agree that she deserved a better ending. But today we gather in love, in honor, and tribute to share stories about my mom's amazing 74 years spent with us. Today we celebrate how she lived. Welcome to Maurizia's Odyssey. On a cold December day in 1951, a not-so-timid, small Italian chatterbox named Maurizia was born. My grandmother used to say she jumped out of the womb talking and with a suitcase in her hand. She was anything but bashful, quite a bossy young lass, and she was full of adventure. Her parents gave her a wonderful life. Summers at camp in the Dolomites and family vacations in the picturesque surroundings of the Italian Riviera. She grew up surrounded by the love of her parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and many relatives. Her favorite person from the day he was born was her baby brother, whom she affectionately called her Robbie. Cut from the same cloth, they were not. However, they had a bond that was instant and extraordinary. He was quiet, studious, athletic, charming, and followed all the rules. His sister, on the other hand, was inquisitive, adored living life on the edge, pushed the boundaries of anything conventional, and longed for a life that quenched her thirst for exploration and culture. Her life growing up was grand, but she wanted something just a little bit different. Later in her teenage years, she set her sights on Big Ben. She wanted London to be her next stop, and she wasn't going to let much get in the way of that. Her parents, being protective, as we all are, attempted to sway her away from this little daydream. But in true Maurizia fashion, she was determined and respectfully let them know she would find her way to London with or without their assistance. I get it honest. Around this time, her little brother had set his sights on going to medical school when he was of age. He always knew he wanted to be a doctor, and that was a dream the entire Baratelli family were more than willing to support. It took Mom a few years of convincing. However, her parents finally agreed to send her to an all-girls international boarding school in St. John's Wood in London. London finally came calling, and Maurizia, who had her bags packed for approximately 23 months, 14 days, 7 hours, and 38 minutes, jumped on a flight and embarked on her greatest adventure yet. London was everything she envisioned and more. She made fast friends with girls from around the world. She learned how to speak English. She mastered the art of living loudly in a city that complemented her exuberance. She had everything she could have possibly wanted, but she still yearned for something just a little bit different. On a bright London Sunday afternoon, while exiting the Catholic Church, her wavy hair, adorable grin, tall riding boots, and plaid wool skirt caught the attention of a young American Marine from South Carolina who happened to be stationed in London. They gathered among a group and chatted for a bit. Mom thought his Southern accent was adorable, and he understood about every 8th word that she spoke. Instantly, he became enamored with her sharp wit, effortless confidence, and her beautiful porcelain skin. That evening, he went back to the barracks and told his buddies he had met the girl that he was going to marry. A few weeks later, this young Marine was heading out of town for a long weekend with some of his mates. On his way, he hopped the tube and stopped by my mom's school to see her for a few minutes. Upon entering the very small sitting room where boys were permitted to visit, he was promptly greeted by the priest assigned to keep watch over my mother and her particularly mischievous friend, Pilar Antelo. After shaking hands with Father John, my dad sat his weekend bag down beside him. Unfortunately, the large open-top bag did not quite stick the landing. Within seconds, dozens of cold aluminum beer cans burst free and began racing across the parlor floor like tiny metallic escape artists. Pilar and my mom froze. Dad felt the blood drain from his body. Father John, he was less than amused. As Dad and Father John scrambled to collect the runaway beers, Dad grew visibly flushed and sweaty, and Mom and Pilar rushed off to fetch him a glass of water. After carefully returning the beers to their bag and restoring what little dignity the situation allowed, Dad attempted to resume conversation with Father John as though the great beer spill within the walls of the sacred parlor never happened. Mom and Pilar soon came back skipping in. Dad gratefully accepted the water they handed him and took a generous gulp. Immediately, liquid fire tore down his throat, and his eyes widened the size of saucers. Mom and Pilar remained perfectly composed, expertly distracting Father John with cheerful chatter. What Father John did not know was that water came from a secret stash of vodka the girls kept hidden under their bed. Dad, realizing the situation instantly, had no choice but to drink it. Getting the girls in trouble was simply not an option. After a few more minutes of Father John politely interrogating him about work and his weekend plans, Dad somehow managed to stumble out of the vodka-infused torture chamber of St. John's Wood and continue on his way. Suffice it to say, from that day forward, he politely declined any offers of water from my mother or any of her friends. Mom had a mischievous sparkle, a fearless sense of fun, and the kind of spirit that could turn even the most serious room upside down, usually while smiling sweetly the entire time. And if you knew her, you knew that the sparkle never really left her. Unbeknownst to my dad, surviving that school visit with FJ was actually just the warm-up. Not long after that, my mom decided it was time to bring this young American Marine home to Italy to meet La Famiglia. And if you think Father John was intimidating, you should try meeting an Italian grandmother. My uncle recently retold the story to me about the first time Mom brought this American boy home to meet the parents. The family was not exactly thrilled. Their daughter, beautiful, spirited, very Italian, had fallen madly in love with a foreigner, an American Marine no less. The family had gathered with a very clear plan. They would stand firm and make it absolutely clear that this union was not something they intended to encourage. Then my dad walked into the room. He was in his uniform, confident, calm, and wearing the sweetest smile you could imagine. He didn't arrive with grand speeches or promises or wealth or status. All he had to offer was his integrity and a sincere promise to love my mom. For my grandfather and my uncle, that was enough. My dad had a way about him. He was brilliant and savvy, and moved through life and moved through the world with humor, humility, and a quiet sense of honor. He was absolutely relentless in his pursuit of winning them over, and eventually he did. And they were married in a beautiful cathedral in a small charming village called Caiello. After the wedding, they returned to London, where they lived for a few more years until one day my dad received new orders, and those orders brought them here to Jacksonville, North Carolina. So Mom packed up what little they had, and she set her sights on the next big adventure, America. And not just any America, it was the true South in 1976. There she was, living in a small town, pregnant with me, in a mobile home with the love of her life. They shopped at the commissary, didn't have money for fancy things, and on weekends they would take the ferry over to Emerald Isle so they could dip their toes in the sand and soak up the sunshine along our beautiful Carolina coast. And somehow, in that simple little life, far away from Italy, far away from London, she had everything she had ever dreamed of. She was exactly where she was meant to be. She was home. I have so many memories of life with my parents. I remember the laughter in our home. I remember my dad's excitement every Christmas. I remember us sitting down together for dinner every night, which was easy to look forward to since we had the best in-house Italian chef imaginable. And I remember my mom constantly giggling at my dad's antics. They loved each other deeply. That's what I remember most. When I was 14, my dad passed away, and suddenly it was just the two of us. Mom and I had to pick ourselves up and begin a new life together. That summer, we went to Italy to heal our broken hearts. And then when I started 9th grade, we moved to Northwoods Drive. From that point on, my mom had one very clear mission: to raise me to be a strong, confident, inclusive, and independent thinker. One day when I was in 11th grade, Mom and I were flipping through Teen magazine. It was prom season, and every page showed a beautiful girl wearing a stunning dress. And then we turned the page, and there it was. A little black corset dress with tiny roses across the bustier and a short tulle skirt. Mom immediately pointed and shouted, "That's the one." Now remember, this is 1994. No Wi-Fi, no internet. So Mom did what she always did when she set her mind to something. She began her research. A few weeks later, she picked me up from school on a Friday and drove me straight to the airport. I had no idea what was happening. She had secretly planned a surprise weekend trip to New York City. Every detail mapped out. Our first stop was the Betsy Johnson store. And waiting for me in that dressing room was that exact little black corset dress. She hadn't just called ahead to make sure they had it ready for me. She had also tracked down the exact black jeweled choker with a tiny rose pendant from the magazine and had it waiting in there as well. Exactly like the picture. Looking back now, I realized it wasn't really about the dress. It was about a mom who wanted her daughter to feel special, confident, and ready to take on the world. She made sure I never felt like something was missing. Because when it came to loving me, she gave me everything. When I think about my mother, I think about a woman who crossed an ocean for love, who built a life full of laughter and adventure, and who faced life's hardest moments with incredible strength and grace. She was mischievous and vibrant, fiercely loving, and endlessly devoted to the people that she cared about. She left Italy as a young woman and came to this country in search of everything she dreamed of: freedom, love, and simplicity. She adored this community, built a beautiful life here, and made it her home in every sense of the word. She was the proudest American I knew. And I can still hear her say, "Don't mess with my America." She filled our home with laughter and turned ordinary moments into unforgettable memories. She had an affinity for good music, tulips, all things oysters, taking trips, her little house on Northwoods Drive, and singing out loud whenever one of her favorite songs played. And if there's one thing I know, it's that the greatest way we can honor her is to live the way that she did, with joy, with curiosity, and with that unmistakable spirit that made her so unforgettable. Mom, you were a perfect symphony of comedy, strength, and love. And from the beginning to the end, and beyond, you did life your way, and we will all miss you so very much.
I found a love for me. Darling, just dive right in. Follow my lead. I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. I never knew you were someone waiting for me. 'Cause we were just kids when we fell in love, not knowing what it was. I will not give you up this time. Darling, just kiss me slow. Your heart is so lion, and in your eyes, you're holding mine. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark, you between my arms, barefoot on the grass, listening to our favorite song. When you said you loved a mess, I whispered underneath my breath. You heard it, darling, you look perfect tonight. Sei la mia donna, la forza delle onde del mare. Cogli i miei sogni, i miei segreti, molto di più. Spero che un giorno l'amore che ci ha accompagnato diventi casa, la mia famiglia diventi noi. E siamo sempre bambini, ma nulla è impossibile. Stavolta non ti lascerò. Viva città, io torno ad esistere. E nel tuo sguardo crescerò. Vado con te nell'oscurità, stretti forte poi, a piedi nudi dentro la nostra musica, ti ho guardata ridere e sussurrando ho detto, tu stasera ti sei perfetta per me. Vado con te nell'oscurità, stretti forte poi, a piedi nudi noi, dentro la nostra musica, ognuno sempre noi, perché sei un angelo aspettato quanto ti ho aspettato, che tu stasera sei perfetta per me. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do, saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step on the byway. More, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall, and did it my way. I loved, I laughed and cried, I had my fill, my share of losing, and now as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has got to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who lives. So I took the blows and did it my way. Yes, it was mine.
Those were beautiful pictures for me. In closing, please bow your heads and join me in a short prayer. Eternal God, help us to remember Maurizia Carter with joy and thanksgiving for the time we shared together. As we leave this beautiful space today, surround us with your peace and strengthen our hearts. Amen. Today is a reflection of all Maurizia's favorite things. This beautiful spring day, everyone she loved coming together to celebrate. Little oysters adored with her flags and favorite song. Her famous Bolognese recipe, which we all loved so much, being shared with all of you. Endless Prosecco with Amarena Fabri cherries from Italy, and an expertly curated charcuterie for nibbles. Thank you all again for coming today.
Thank you guys, truly.
Big man, how you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Hey, Danny. Everybody, great job. Hey, man, I'm hearing that stuff.
I love that house. It's very special to me. My mom always loved it. Yeah. She never wanted to be anything. If you walk through please enjoy the second round and then we'll stay with us for a while. Don't get comfortable.
I was, man, I heard so much about you. I used to hear a lot about your mom until you were born. And then she was gone. She's going to be missed.
I think something that a lot of people here are forgetting that we're not here to mourn. This is a celebration of life. We're here to laugh and just enjoy what she was.
But that's what we're going to miss.
Yeah.
It's sitting around the bonfire and hearing some of her wisecracks.
Oh, yeah. Good night. God bless.
I leave.
Good night. God bless. See you tomorrow.
I don't play that game, dude. I will.
You'll be singing that in your dreams next week.